Before working with energy, SRBT boss have been facing a lot of challenges because of the power supply. Everything's expensive and still there's no lights.
Most of the services we render requires electricity, and depending on NEPA, they always mess up and we end up losing customers. Energy has made things better for us with uninterrupted electricity.
We think electrification in India is going to be a very, very big opportunity. We think our last mile strategy is going to be pretty much synonymous with an electric first fleet strategy. At this point, there are many things that need to be coming together for making that happen. And one of the largest things or biggest thing that is required is actually capital.
Because of this issue of sun catcher, I can water my plants even at the night. Now, having the sun catcher, it is a very good advantage to me because now the costs have gone down drastically and I can now say I'm getting something from the shamba as profit.
Hello, my name's Amelie Amin. I think, as we know, climate change really is a defining development challenge of our time. And we know also that emerging and developing economies are the most vulnerable to its impacts. At the same time, there are also new social economic opportunities with the green growth agenda. And tackling these challenges and unlocking the opportunities requires bold action. So, as highlighted by Leslie, that's exactly what we've been doing at British International Investment. In 2024, over 40% of our total commitments were climate finance, and we mobilised almost $500 million in private capital. Mobilisation of private investment is core to BI's climate strategy. As one of the UK government's largest providers of climate finance to developing economies, we are committed to using capital to de-risk projects, crowd in private finance as needed to support the green economic transformation and growth. So in this session, we'll explore how development finance can act as a catalyst to unlock greater private investment in these climate solutions. It will consider how blended finance, risk sharing, and strategic partnerships can help scale impact and ensure capital flows to where it's needed most. We'll hear from three partners at the forefront of this transition and learn from them how, through their investments, we're delivering tangible benefits for both people and planet. They'll share how their businesses are scaling climate solutions, as well as some of the challenges that they face and how capital can be mobilised in a way that overcomes these challenges and supports a just and inclusive transition. So I'm delighted to turn to my first panelist, Wyman Chan, Head of Asia, Susi Partners. So we know that it is critical to accelerate the transition from coal, in particular, into clean energy in Southeast Asia. And Susi Partners is working to do exactly this, supporting this clean energy transition through the SARA platform, which we're delighted to be partnering with yourself as an investor. Could you tell us a bit more about this initiative and how it's helping bring clean energy to the region? And it'd be great, Wyman, if you could just highlight some of the key challenges that you faced in developing renewable energy projects in Southeast Asia and how you're working to overcome these.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. The SARA platform, short for Sustainable Asia Renewable Assets, is a major initiative led by Susi Partners to drive clean energy deployment across Southeast Asia. It's supported by BII and FMO and built within Susi's Asia Energy Transition Fund. At its very core, SARA is a 500 megawatt renewables development platform that focuses on building high-quality utility-scale renewable energy projects across the region, including solar, wind, and hydro. It's designed to tackle one of the most persistent challenges in the region, and that's the lack of investable, large-scale clean energy assets that meet institutional standards. Through this platform, we are not just investing in assets, we are developing them from ground up, which allows us control over the quality and compliance with strict ESG standards, and also to be able to tailor solutions to the unique environments of the markets we operate in, like Vietnam, the Philippines, and even Cambodia and Laos. BII's involvement alongside FMO has been catalytic. There are co-investment and investment in the fund, more than double the size of our Asia strategy to $250 million US, which gives us the much needed scale to develop a diversified portfolio and crowd in further private capital. The first anchor asset in the platform is Dam Nai Wind in Vietnam, and we're actively expanding that portfolio across the country. Beyond emissions reduction, our approach is also about delivering energy access, economic opportunity, and sustainable development to local communities. So SERA is ultimately helping to shift Southeast Asia into a more resilient, low carbon path through a blend of capital, local partnerships, and technical execution. On some of the key challenges that we face, there's a litany of challenges that we face in Southeast Asia because it requires navigating a complex landscape, but I'm going to just focus on a couple of them. Regulatory uncertainty, fragmented policy frameworks can vary quite significantly between different markets and often change without warning. Grid capacity constraints is another hurdle we face in executing renewable energy projects. And of course, the limited availability of bankable investment-ready projects, which is what drove us to create the platform, is one of the main challenges that we're trying to solve. So let me focus on the last challenge, which is the problem of scalability. And this is exacerbated by the lack of investment quality assets. So at Suzy Partners, we address these challenges by taking a platform-based approach through SERA. This allows us to originate, structure, and develop projects in-house according to the rigorous and robust standards that we require alongside BII and FMO. Suzy has built a team in Asia that is fit for this purpose. And that is a team that comprises not just investment professionals, but also legal, technical, ESG, and business integrity professionals, and all of whom have sector-relevant local expertise and experience. So together with BII's Asia team, we work very closely with a hand-picked local management team for the SERA platform to apply these standards from the outset. This, we believe, improves project bankability and risk-adjusted returns at the end of the day.
Thank you so much, Wyman. And I mean, you've provided a lot of really interesting information as to the challenges, but also how you're overcoming those. And I know we're delighted to be able to partner with you and how, in particular, mobilize that commercial investment that is so needed. So I think now coming to Jay Govender, who is Chief Commercial Officer and Legal Officer with Etana Energy. And I know that South Africa has also been facing some very challenging issues within the energy sector, and so from lack of investment and aging coal infrastructure in particular, whilst rising demand for power. And Etana Energy, I know, has been really an innovator in this space, looking to unlock private investment for renewable energy power. So can you tell us a bit more about the unique approach? And again, if you could maybe highlight some of the challenges and how Etana Energy is working to overcome those, I think that would be really interesting.
Thank you, Amali, and thanks everyone for having me here today. So just maybe by way of background, a little bit about Etana Energy. We are a licensed energy trader and acquired our license about 3 years ago. So typically energy trading in South Africa was run by government entities and municipalities. So we are one of the first entities to be licensed to trade. And our business will involve not only trading, but energy aggregation. So, I mean, we are also navigating through a market which is currently undergoing unbundling, which I think is common knowledge. And in essence, that means we are navigating through a transitioning market, which brings a whole bunch of challenges on a business like ours, which is essentially a fast mover business with a private entity undertaking a trading function. As Etana, we operate a portfolio model, business model. So we purchase energy from a portfolio of generation projects and we sell to multiple customers. We don't own the asset and we are IPP agnostic as to who it is that we purchase energy from, but we sell only renewable energy and the related environmental benefits that go along with it. And we do this by wheeling through the national grid. So just to give context as to the facility that we have with BII, who partnered with Garanco on a 50-50 basis, because we purchase energy from a generator, these generation facilities in turn secure project finance. And what commercial banks typically require under these long-term power purchase agreements, which has, commitment on project costs, and really commercial lenders are interested in ensuring that there's security of revenues, is that they would really look behind the credibility of the off-taker, which is Etana in this instance. And being a fast mover, not having a balance sheet, not having a credit rating, obviously meant that there's more pressure on us to be able to demonstrate that we have the ability to make our commitments under the power purchase agreements. And if we default, that there's a mechanism in which the PPA can be bankable to a commercial funder and that there's security under those agreements. And that's essentially where BII and Garanco came in, because they provided to us a payment default guarantee. So it's a form of credit support and enhancement under our PPAs with our generators. And it provides support over limited EODs by Etana and for a limited time frame. But importantly, what this instrument has done for our business is that it has enabled us to scale. It's made our PPAs more bankable. And just in terms of stats and how that translates, we secured a facility in RAN value of just in excess of 1.8 billion, which equates to about 100 million at the time that it was signed. This essentially enables us to conclude power purchase agreements to the tune of somewhere between 600 and 700 megawatts, depending on what sort of security is required under each of these PPAs. As I mentioned earlier, it's all renewables, so a combination of wind and solar at this stage. And in terms of supply to customers, the 600 to 700 megawatts translates to anything between 1.7 and 2.2 terawatt hours of energy. So it's really been, I mean, I've heard the word catalyst in many of the talks, and I think that BII's vision to have a catalytic impact is certainly demonstrated in the support that has been provided to Etana Energy. Just very quickly on the challenges that we face in South Africa, as I said, because it's a transitioning model, unbundling, obviously there's a lot of regulatory changes. I wouldn't say uncertainty. And that makes it more difficult for us as a business to predict what middle term and like long-term changes may be, but we still need to mitigate those risks under our kind of business model. The other challenge in South Africa, which is, you know, largely publicized, is just grid constraints, transmission availability. So no matter what our the speed that at which we would want to operate is not necessarily supported by the infrastructure that's in play. However, the South African government has announced like privatization of transmission and greater focus and investment in those areas. So that should enable us to continue with the Etana business model. Maybe I can pause there. Thanks.
Yeah, no, thanks so much, Jay. Really interesting, and I think obviously some very common challenges across from Southeast Asia, South Africa, and you know, great to hear how our at BII, our focus on, you know, trying to be as catalytic as possible and deliver impact, you know, has really been working well with yourselves. So great to hear that. And I think now, I mean, it's extremely probably timely that we will hear now from Satish Talmale, who is Chief Executive Officer of Energrid, and actually is really working and investing to tackle one of those key challenges that you both highlighted. The need to really invest much more in transmission distribution, as well as also storage, particularly for bringing more intermittent renewable energy into the grid. So Satish, please tell us about Energrid and how you're developing transmission and also battery storage projects in India. And again, it'd be great if you could sort of highlight some of the challenges and how, you know, through Energrid and your partnership with BII, you know, we're working to overcome those challenges and scale private investment.
Thank you, Amalli, and thanks for having me. So just to put things in context, I think as we know about India, currently India stands at the cusp of green energy revolution with a target of 500 gigawatt non-fossil fuel capacity by 2030 and net zero target by 2070, and which calls the pace and the scale of capital required is truly unprecedented. We believe climate finance is not just about environmental responsibility, but also about economic opportunity, energy security, and social upliftment, including job creation. We believe mobilizing global capital towards green infrastructure is no longer optional, but a mandatory for wider benefit of society at large. As Indigrid is a very innovative development platform, which is just kick-started, backed by BI, Norfund, and Indigrid. And the purpose of the platform is to build high-quality, reliable assets, which contributes to the larger climate India for the society. As we all know, global development capital is increasingly aligned with climate positive investment, but needs bankable and de-risk opportunities. Energrid precisely offers it, globally packed project development platform focused on execution-ready, climate-aligned infrastructure, and transmission and battery storage solution, which are the critical enablers for India's RE ambition. There is a need to blend global capital and domestic execution capabilities, and our development model does that by marrying international climate finance, technical expertise, and local partnership. Developing future-ready transmission corridors to evacuate renewable energy efficiently, building grid scale battery storage system to provide dispatchable, stable, flexible, and cleaner power. Such platforms can certainly bring speed, efficiency, and technological innovation, and creating huge job opportunities in execution for such projects in the country. Currently, as in EnerGrid, we are executing 4 large transmission projects and 2 battery storage of 1 gigawatt hour capacity, which approximately of 600 million worth of project finance, which is coming hugely as a commitment from BII. As BII, I think they are truly playing a role of catalyst in overall development effort for the country. It's required huge courage to take exposure on a riskier underdevelopment activities and support energy transition via climate funding. So we are not just creating a clean infrastructure, we are also accelerating energy transition to achieve India's net zero mission, powered by global capital and local execution capabilities. Few of the challenges I want to highlight, which we are encountering while building these projects, especially in remote areas. One biggest challenge is land and right-of-way issues. Government is doing a lot of efforts proactively to manage such issues along with wider stakeholder engagement. We are also working with government authorities, administrative bodies, to create a win-win situation for both our stakeholders as well as for a company. Another next challenge which comes to my mind is very similar what Jay mentioned about regulatory evolution, which is happening across. We are highly operating in regulated environment. Any abrupt changes can lead to change in the whole dynamics of the project. So prudent policy advocacy, right timing for intervening the right things, or having an intent to really satisfy the requirement of clean growth is something will help from regulatory aspects. As we are talking about development activity, the next biggest challenge which follows is supply chain. And especially with today's geopolitical uncertainties, that has become one challenge. But with proactive planning and collaboration with all our suppliers, we are trying to address that. One of the pertinent challenge we all know is about local skilled workforce, which has to be future ready to tackle building such high quality, high reliability projects. Yeah, Amali, maybe I can pause here. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Satish. And, I think just listening to all of you talk about your companies, I think it really demonstrates how important it is to have good partnership, not just for yourselves partnering with BI, but ourselves with you, because we learn a lot and we can also take the learning across to different markets. So I'm going to ask maybe just each of you in a sort of, maybe just 1 minute to give maybe a sort of final closing remarks as to, what would you like to see more of in terms of development finance institutions such as ourselves, in terms of working with yourselves or others in your markets, looking ahead? So maybe we'll start with you, Satish, and given you're on camera at the moment, so just thinking ahead what you would like to see.
Sure. I think, BI kind of financial help offers unlimited assurance to build capital intensive projects in emerging countries, and with a ESG focused mindset to do the right things manner for the overall larger benefit of the society is something urgent need. With the availability of capital, with the local execution expertise, and addressing the climate action needs is of paramount importance. And definitely, this kind of initiatives will help emerging world to take a leap in energy transition and help us to accelerate the whole effort towards net zero mission.
Great, thank you. Maybe come to you, Jay, and then we'll finish with you, Wyman.
Thanks. I mean, I think just giving some thought to this, the BII participation in our projects has instilled a lot of confidence in the Etana model. And as I mentioned, because we're a first mover, it's a model that's not typically seen or banked in this jurisdiction. And don't get me wrong, behind the scenes, it wasn't as easy to get to the instrument because we went through a whole level of intense due diligence by BII and stress testing our market model. But it was, although intense, a good experience because the team that was allocated to Etana were very smart, very commercial, and I think had our success at the forefront. Like they were interested in seeing us succeeding and got them thinking out of the box in terms of what sort of bespoke product could be created for Etana in South Africa, which was then banked because our first project is a 75 megawatt solar project and it's being banked. It's now in construction. And we're imminently closing 2 other project finance deals. So it was really, it's the BII participation together with Garanco has given our model an endorsement and credibility and has enabled us to then be able to scale up on the same basis with the facility. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Jay. And I think, it's great, as you highlight, it's not, of course, the capital is critical, but the expertise as well through the partnership is also a real value add to your endeavours. So Wyman, I'll just give the last word to you now. What would you like to see thinking ahead?
Thank you. I think DFIs like BII are most effective when they act not just as funders, but also as strategic partners. And that's amplified by the fact that the BII Asia team sits in an office 3 subway stops away from us. We see the BII team a lot. We have quite regular meetings on strategizing for the Sarah platform. So I think this helps the investee companies a lot. We are utilizing BII's expertise from other markets that have faced similar challenges and hurdles and have resolved them with innovation. And we are leveraging on that experience from the BII team. So that has been we appreciate that. And that has been invaluable to us over the journey. And like the other partners here, the journey hasn't been easy, but it is a rewarding one. And I think we are, slowly but surely reaping the fruits of that journey. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I know I speak on behalf of everyone at BI. We really welcome the partnership because, as I said, we learn as well as you, and then as you highlighted, we can also take that learning into other markets. So thank you so much for joining this event, and look forward to continued collaboration and partnership with all of you. Thank you.